I'm Russ Roberts. I am with the CATA Alliance. I am a senior director. I have been involved in the development of policy on the R&D tax credit program in Canada for almost 20 years. I also work with Deloitte Touche as a senior director. My role has been, over the years, initially I was developing the practice in Ottawa and then across the country. For the last 2.5 years I've been working as their senior person responsible for the developing quality practices across the technical part of the interpretation of what is eligible for Deloitte. The work we've been doing with CATA has involved all the accounting firms across the country and CRA as well. We've been able to develop consensus both on where there's eligibility in the software sector and software claims, as well as consensus around some of the more tenacious issues in the manufacturing claims as well over the last several years. It's been very interesting work and I believe very productive work for all parties. The program works best when people understand what is eligible and how to claim it. I think that any company which is making a major investment in new developments and working with new technologies or trying to extend technologies should be looking at the credits. A good portion of the time there's going to be a claim there. Quite frankly, in any industry where companies are using technologies and developing new processes, we find claims. But companies that are totally developing new business practices focused on client service only based on existing practices, well-established practices, there will not be claims in those industries. Probably some of the most interesting claims that we've developed have been in a mix of the manufacturing areas and the information technology areas, particularly those that are not the hardcore technology side of the story, the research side of the story, but much closer to the manufacturing, the delivery, the media side of the story. Traditionally, these have been areas that have not been claimed extensively. There's always been R&D there, but you really have to get your heads around it for both areas as to where that R&D is and what is the real R&D project. A lot of it is simply development, it's standard practice. That's not claimable. So you've got to find out where the nuggets of really good R&D are for those claims. Some of the neatest claims that I've developed have been in the pulp and paper industry, that part of the manufacturing sector, which had for years not claimed at all, just because of the difficulty or very small claims. And the work they're doing is really neat. They're taking technologies that are 50, 60 years old, and because of their engineering skill, they're able to put themselves into the top tier of effective processes worldwide through process development. That is good R&D. In the media areas, we are looking at claims where technologies are being integrated. The real issue is how to get them to work together, how to get these technologies to effectively function. And those can lead to some very interesting and exciting claims. Certainly in the aerospace industry, it's a traditional area for claims. These firms have been using the program very effectively for years. We have also helped these firms over the years, particularly when they are developing new extensions of areas that they have been in. There are numerous claims in the clean tech area. The companies involved in this are using the credits very effectively, to be frank about it. And they are some of the simpler claims as long as they are hard technology based and not simply the purchase of technology. I would encourage any company in those areas to take a very close look at what they're doing to find out where the technology edge is being moved forward. There are a number of different ways that companies can work with the various accounting firms and consulting firms out there with it. They are contingency relations, fee relations, direct fee relationships, fixed price, etc. that companies work with. About 3/4 of the work I did last year was actually on these complex audits, working through them with CRA, revenue, and with our own staff, developing techniques for getting the right information in front of CRA, the information that would get the two parties to come to an agreement as to why this stuff is eligible. Very few claims do we ever take into the appeals. Our record is that we come to a working, equitable agreement as to how these things, why these things are eligible. We find the information that's necessary to support them, and the majority of our claims are being assessed, and good percentage recoveries are being achieved by the clients. Credits are set up two different ways. The credits are focused initially on private corporations that are Canadian. They offer 35% credits to those firms, but for everybody else, there's a 20% credit available to companies that are profitable. They can also carry them forward and use them in the future or carry them back 3 years. So these credits are not only useful to Canadian firms, but they are useful to any corporation who has a business in Canada where they are investing in development in Canada. The Canadian practice that Deloitte has developed is the oldest one and most developed practice in Deloitte. And it has been used actually as a model in England and elsewhere. So our people here in Canada have been working with Deloitte practitioners in England and in France, for example, to develop the practices there as we transfer some of the techniques, some of the practices that we found effective here into these other settings. Deloitte has produced a number of documents around the international tax credits and their availability, yes, and those have been shared on our website and are available for download. Well, over the last 5 years, tax credits have become the preferred mechanism, like in Canada, for supporting innovation in firms. France, England, Japan, China, all have now developed tax credit regimes, tax credit systems. They're all different. To use them effectively, because of their differences and to understand them, you need to work with people who actually are familiar with the individual programs. In the last years, CATA has done a great deal of research on the program, its evolution, and where the problems exist. And our members can go to our website and download material that will give them very good information on how the program is evolving today and the areas that they need to watch out for, and where CATA is seeking improvements in the program from finance and CRA. As one of our first steps in helping our members in CATA and working with the firms, we are taking a look at all the work we've done over the last year on the program and the problems that people are having with CRA. And we have developed a document that is highlighting those areas that companies have to be very careful about when they put together the claims. As a user, it is really important that you know what CRA is going to look at, what they're concerned about today. This document is going to give you information on that. It's going to tell you where you should emphasize and put your efforts in getting to good documentation. It's going to emphasize for you and give you information on which types of contract relationships you should focus on and be careful to document and really think about whether you have the right to claim or not, for example.